There is a place on Earth where killing you is not only completely legal, but even the United Nations wouldn't dare to intervene. As long as your feet touch the sand there, your survival time will absolutely not exceed 3 minutes. While you are scrolling through short videos right now, drinking milk tea, the people on that island are still living in the Paleolithic age from 60,000 years ago. Don't think primitive people are easy to bully. When modern helicopters fly at a low altitude, they are not greeted with curious gazes, but with poison arrows capable of piercing straight through bulletproof glass. That massive 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami swept away nearly 300,000 lives. The outside world and satellites assumed this low-lying island had long been wiped flat, people and all. As a result, when the Indian military sent planes to collect bodies, they gasped in shock on the spot. Not only were these primitive people completely unharmed, they were also standing vigorously on the beach, shooting arrows at the helicopter. Think about what this means. Without any weather radar, living as they did 60,000 years ago, they sensed the tearing of the earth in advance. Some say they retained humanity's degenerated sixth sense, while others say they weren't seeking refuge at all, but rather completing some kind of ritual. In 2018, a stubborn young American guy carrying a GPS insisted on trespassing. Consequently, right after landing, he was shot into a hedgehog by a flurry of arrows. His body was left hanging on the beach, and to this day, no one has dared to retrieve it. Eventually, the Indian government lost its temper, drawing a 5-kilometer absolute exclusion zone, where anyone getting close is immediately arrested. On the surface, it looks like modern civilization is protecting these primitive people. But if you think about it carefully, is it us who blockaded them, or is it them defending that island with their lives for generations to prevent something inside the island from coming out? It is called North Sentinel Island, a black hole that directly locks human time in place. If you think they are just a group of savages who only know how to throw stones, then you are entirely wrong. Here comes the most spine-chilling revelation. This group of living fossils who can't even make fire themselves, who don't even understand friction fire lighting, are actually holding cold-forged steel arrowheads in their hands. A completely isolated tribe. Where did they get steel from? The answer lies in a steel wreck at the edge of the island's reef. In 1981, a 30,000-ton Hong Kong freighter, the Primrose, got lost in a typhoon and crashed head-on into the coastal reefs of North Sentinel Island. When the storm subsided, the crew peeked down from the deck and were instantly scared out of their wits. Densely packed on the beach, gathered a horde of fully armed savages, chopping down trees to build boats, preparing to board and hunt them down after nightfall. Fortunately, Indian Navy helicopters airlifted the crew away right before dark. But this 30,000-ton steel behemoth became a God-given mine in the eyes of the primitive people. They dived into the seawater, forcefully knocked off iron plates and screws, and without any smelting technology, relying on decades of pure manual grinding, they forcefully elevated their Stone Age combat power to the peak of the Cold Weapon Age. Aiming steel arrows at outsiders, what is this called? This is a reverse crushing response to a dimensional strike. But the question arises, why are these people so full of hostility? Why do they have absolutely no curiosity about the outside world? Why fight to the death on sight? Because in their oral history, the outside world is full of man-eating demons. Turn back the clock to 1880. British Royal Navy officer Portman forced his way onto the island with heavily armed soldiers. The islanders, having never seen guns, were terrified and hid deep in the mountains. Portman didn't return empty-handed. Like capturing wild animals, he kidnapped an elderly couple and 4 children and forcefully brought them back to the civilized world. The result? Just a few days after getting off the ship, due to a lack of modern immunity, the elderly couple dropped dead instantly. The British panicked, hurriedly returned the remaining 4 orphans to the island, dumped them on the beach, and fled. The result, just a few days after getting off the ship, due to a lack of modern immunity, the elderly couple dropped dead instantly. The British panicked, hurriedly returned the remaining 4 orphans to the island, dumped them on the beach, and fled. Think carefully about this. When these 4 children returned to the tribe, how would they describe the outside world to their people? Those white-skinned monsters wearing clothes captured our parents and turned them into corpses. This seed of hatred on a completely sealed-off island fermented for over 100 years. So, when in 2018, that American missionary named John Chow held up a Bible and shouted, "Jesus loves you," while charging onto the beach, what greeted him was an iron arrow that shot straight through his Bible. The next day, he didn't give up and went back again. On the 3rd day, fishermen in the distance, using binoculars, saw an extremely horrifying scene. Several islanders tied a rope around John's neck, dragging him like prey. They dragged his body into the jungle and buried it straight into the sand. This wasn't some barbaric slaughter at all. In their perspective, it was an extremely successful national defense battle. Actually, it's not that humanity hasn't had a chance for peaceful contact. In 1991, Indian anthropologist Pandit floated in the sea carrying dozens of coconuts. A miracle happened. These volatile savages actually put down their bows and arrows, waded through the seawater to the boat, and accepted the coconuts. That was the only time in human history that both sides looked at each other without bloodshed. But just a few years later, the Indian government suddenly and urgently halted all contact. Pandit was forced to retire. Why? Because scientists ran a simulation and the results were spine-chilling. The North Sentinelese have been isolated here for 60,000 years, making their gene pool extremely singular. A single sneeze from you, a common flu, or even a slight trace of bacteria would be to them a biohazard more terrifying than a nuclear weapon. Another primitive tribe in the nearby Andaman Islands, the Boka tribe, because they blindly embraced modern civilization and got infected with diseases, within a few decades saw their population plummet off a cliff. The last member tragically died in 2010. A language that had lasted for tens of thousands of years, along with the entire memory of a people, was instantly and completely wiped off the earth. Therefore, the 5-kilometer death no-fly zone drawn by the Indian government is not meant to protect us from being harmed by the savages at all, but to protect them from being exterminated by us walking toxic kings. We always carry an extremely arrogant God's-eye view when looking at them. Let's do the math. The Roman Empire, arrogant and unassailable, lasted for 1,500 years before collapsing. The British Empire's myth of the sun never setting was glorious for less than 400 years. Yet the few dozen people on this island, under the desperate conditions of having no written text, no medicine, and no metal smelting, endured through the last ice age, watched the pyramids be built and weather away, and outlived countless so-called advanced civilizations on Earth. For a full 60,000 years, they have guarded this 59-square-kilometer island, and not even their social structure has ever collapsed. It's just like if the Earth were a giant online game server, where all players are desperately leveling up their tech trees, building nuclear bombs, and fighting interstellar wars. But the players in this tribe spawned in the beginner's village, don't level up, don't craft gear, and relying solely on their initial health bar, manage to survive all the way to the server shutdown countdown. You think we are tolerantly allowing them to preserve their primitive appearance? Don't joke around. These islanders used 60,000 years to take the act of rejecting to the absolute extreme, while we are debating how to protect them. Perhaps in their worldview, the giant steel birds flying in the sky and the massive ships sailing across the horizon are nothing more than some indescribable monsters. They don't need your sympathy, they don't need your technology, and they especially don't need your gods. In front of this small island, so-called modern civilization is more like a presumptuous clown. The last boundary on Earth that humanity cannot cross is not in the Bermuda Triangle, nor in the Mariana Trench. It is right on the beaches of North Sentinel Island. It acts like a cold, hard mirror, reflecting the arrogance of 8 billion modern humans. Why should one civilization feel that the path it has taken is the only way out? Next time you see satellite photos of them, stop thinking about trying to save them. Perhaps in this madly spinning world, having the right to never be disturbed is the ultimate luxury on Earth.